Hey everyone, welcome to Prepare to Go There, self-leadership podcast helping you lead yourself and stay focused on your future. My name is Peter Burchfield. I'm the host of this YouTube podcast, and I'm also the creator of the Pioneer the Year course. I'm so excited that we get to pull together again for just a few minutes as we keep the future on the front burner. You know, it can be super difficult to stay motivated when things come up and things fall apart, but I'm going to give you some insights and strategies to help you practically turn frustration into preparation. And that's what we need. We need to change our view so that way we keep the future on the front burner again and again. We're going to have an awesome live stream today. This is going to be a great coaching conversation, and I want you to be a part of it. Feel free to comment and be a part of this conversation. And we're going to get into some fresh content, some important ideas, and some big decisions that you need to make to turn frustration into preparation. We're going to have a little bit of a bumper to get this thing started, and then I will kick it off. But I'm so grateful you're here, and we're going to have an awesome time together. See you in just a little bit. Welcome to Prepare to Go There. All right, so the question is, what do you do when you're frustrated? And how do you keep yourself going after you've had too many failed attempts to admit? I'm going to be talking about how to turn those frustrations into preparation. that's what we have to do. We have to motivate ourselves. That's a big part of self-leadership. Self-leadership is not selfish. It's actually doing the work when no one's around. It's leading yourself without all of the external motivation, whether that's positive or negative, whether that's in the form of someone nagging you or bragging on you. We don't always get that. So we have to learn how to encourage ourselves and lead ourselves day by day. And that's really been a part of my story, learning this pioneering leadership idea. And I want to help you work on your leadership today as well. That's why I call today Future Friday. It's my day to get away so I can get ahead. It helps me to think about the future on a calendar. That's the next 7 days or the next 30 days or the next 90 days. And every once in a while, Future Friday will yield a really, really big field trip into the future where I get to think about the upcoming year or even further. And having just a little bit of time like this to get away so you can get ahead is mission critical to what you're doing today, what you're a part of, and the relationships that you care about, the way you lead your family, your team, the way you serve and help in the community. You can't do that if you don't have that clarity and the encouragement to lead yourself. I want to be a strength and not a burden. And that's why I've got to make sure that I stay on full so that way I can give again and again. And so we're going to have really a heartfelt conversation. We are going to get into some tactics at the end of this coaching conversation. So make sure that you are a part of this the whole way. But I do have to start with what's going on in your head and your heart, because so many of us can be burdened by frustrations. And it's real. I get it. But you're going to have to learn how to lead yourself regardless. You know, I've been on this pioneering leadership journey for a while now, and it has kind of come together in my flagship digital course, Pioneer of the Year. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But this idea of self-leadership is not talked about enough. We've got to learn, how do we lead ourselves through the disappointment, through the discouragement, through the frustration, so that way we show up on the other side with a story worth sharing, and we come back ready to help others navigate and create the future too. And so that's what we're going to get out of this. And I encourage you, just make space to keep having these kind of conversations, whether it's interacting like this or whether it's just reading a good book. You have to take the responsibility to stay encouraged and motivated and to keep working on your leadership journey. That's why I want to share a book that I'm reading right now. I am absolutely loving this book. It's called Win the Day by Mark Batterson. This is a New York Times bestseller, and it's 7 daily habits to help you stress less and accomplish more. I love this book. I'm a few chapters into it, and I want to recommend it to you as well. Here's a quote from the book. Everything in your past is preparation for something in your future. That sounds like our kind of book, right? This definitely fits into this future-focused community of pioneering leaders. And so we've got to really work on how do we turn frustration into preparation. That's why I'm here. That's what I want to help you with right now. And I think the goal of this conversation is really to encourage people. I want to encourage you, even though you feel behind, even though you feel overwhelmed, even though you're super frustrated by the things you're feeling and the things you're facing. But I want to encourage you to keep going with your self-leadership journey. That there's a lot that's out of your control right now. But there are still things, valuable things, that are in your control. And that's what I hope we can take action on by the end of this conversation. Yes, you still need to lead yourself. Even if you're frustrated, you still need to lead yourself. But thankfully, no, you don't have to do it alone. Somehow leading yourself has turned into something selfish or something done in secrecy. But self-leadership is not a solo sport. It's not something we do in secret. Leading yourself is every day. Leading yourself is leading by example. Leading yourself is others-minded. Realizing that people are watching your actions, interactions, and reactions. And so, yeah, absolutely, there's parts of self-leadership that are happening in private, but it's with the humility and the understanding that everything I do today in secret is going to show up somehow, some way in public. And that's why I need to quit judging everybody out there first. And I need to look at myself, and I need to work on what I can today. And so it really brings up this question of what is it going to take to go on a pioneering leadership journey? And I want to tell you right now what you need for your leadership journey. I can tell you it's not hard. It's not, beyond us. Here's what you need for your pioneering leadership journey. You're going to need two things, okay? Number one, you're going to need commitment. And number two, you're going to need a community. It really is that simple. You need the commitment to go on your own leadership journey. You have to learn how to lead yourself, but you're doing it in relationship with other people. And now the ethos of that community, this community of leaders, this community of people leading themselves, they realize, hey, we are all here to pioneer the future. We are all here to go the distance and make a difference. And we're going to be here for each other to encourage each other in the work that each of us have to do. And then when we graduate from the self-leadership level, then we're going to team up for the servant leadership level, and we're going to work together to make the future better. So you got to have commitment, but you also need a community. And I think we can mix this up. We can get this out of order or out of context. And it's true, sometimes we need to own the work ourselves, right? We have to own the work that's in front of us, whether that's our habits or sitting down to make a plan or getting after the projects that need to get done. But other times, we need to learn how to share the load. And we have to share the load of living together and leading together. And that's where we reach to others for coaching, for counseling, for friendship, for masterminds, for teamwork. It's not one or the other. It's both. You need to be on your own leadership journey. And you are responsible for how far and how fast you go in your own leadership journey. People are waiting on you to advance in your leadership journey. And there's a lot of frustration that can come up if we're not taking action steps on our self-leadership journey. People that have been in the same situation, they've been on the same job, they've been the same team for years and years, and they're frustrated, and they don't realize that the ball's been in their court, that the onus has been on them, not just to show up and do some tasks and go home, but to make action steps on their leadership journey. And so if you're thinking, man, I'm here for the team and I'm here with the team and I'm just here, what's going on? You can get frustrated because you're missing one of the ingredients, which is that you are on a leadership journey and that you can bring as much preparation and acceleration to that leadership journey as you want. And other people are not going to make progress on your leadership journey. That's why you have to take it personal. And then in the same sense, you may say, man, I am crushing it. I am doing awesome. I am pushing myself. I am working on my habits. I have great goals. I am awesome. But you're still frustrated. It's because it's not about you. And you can have an ideal day and everything can be going your way and you can still be unfulfilled. And you need to find a community. You need to find people that you can serve and people you can serve with. And that's where we need to reach out to others, to be humble enough to say, hey, I welcome feedback. And to be honest enough to say, I am committed to getting results on this team and with this team. I felt like a high school basketball coach or something. So we need both. And I do think a lot of frustration can come in when we miss that combination. So let's talk about it. Why do we get frustrated? What does it look like? How do we show up here again and again? You know, frustration really comes when we have these failed attempts. We try and we fail. We want to have a great schedule, but everybody keeps messing it up. We want to knock out those health goals, but we fall off it. We want to get closer in our key relationships, but life is just so busy. And it's really this feeling of being annoyed and then even less confident because you cannot achieve what you want. Have you felt that way? I have. We can be frustrated. We can feel annoyed. And then if it's repeated again and again, we can feel even less confident because we feel like we cannot achieve what we want. And that brings disappointment, discouragement, or even a loss of motivation. That's where the frustration becomes paralyzing. You become crippled in your path. You can't move forward because you've already tried. And you say, you know, it's not that I don't care, it's that I did care and it didn't get me anywhere. So what now? And we're frustrated about where we are instead of where we want to be. And that's where we have to tap into the power of preparation. That's where we have to dig deeper and realize that this is just one part of a really big, beautiful story. And this is an opportunity to navigate and create the future frontier. And so that's where preparation comes in as the antidote, as the opportunity for such difficulty and adversity. Preparation is really a lifestyle. It's the way we lead ourselves and the way we stay focused on our future. And that's why I want to encourage you by saying we never signed up for a one-day thing. This is a lifestyle. This is a journey. And you're going to have good days. You're going to have big days. You're going to have bad days. But you have to make today count. You can't quit today because today is actually a part of your future. And we don't really see this at first, but if you think about it, preparation is a paradox. It's true. Preparation is paradoxical. It's kind of backwards. I mean, that's why they call it backwards planning. You start with the end in mind. You start with the goal. You start with where you want to be in the future. And you start with that as your reality. You start with that as your identity. And you begin to identify with what is in the future. And you work your way back. In my faith background, faith space, we have a phrase, we're not trying to get to victory, we're living from victory. And that's super encouraging to know that, a lifetime of good work will not get me where I want to be at the end of my life. Doesn't matter how many good things I do, doesn't matter how many people I help. When I stand before the Lord, it's not going to be enough. But because of God's grace and because of the gift of Jesus Christ, because of his sacrificial life, his death and his resurrection, now, not even all the bad things I can do can keep me away from God's presence. But I've been invited in to God's presence because of Jesus Christ. And I think that the Christian hope is just amazing. So I don't know, maybe that's my Easter plug right there. But the point is that preparation is paradoxical, and many times you have to identify with your future more than your current situation. And if we're stuck in the mud and the mire and all of the challenges and everything that's going wrong in the moment, we're not going to stay connected to the hopeful future that we have. And then out of that, we won't have a sense of empowerment to make a change where we are today. So preparation is paradoxical. You're always working on the seemingly wrong thing at the seemingly wrong time, but it's for the right reason. And that's why it works. Preparation is where you're basically wearing a sweater in the summer. It's where you're wearing, swim shorts in the winter. I'm being a bit facetious here, but I'm saying you're always thinking ahead. You're thinking about the next season. You're thinking about where you're going and who you're becoming and what's important and what's possible. See, what I'm doing today is not going to make sense today. And what I'm working on today really doesn't factor in with the annoyances and the frustrations that are cropping up today either. So if I let all of the frustrations and annoyances and issues block my view of the future work I have to do, I can get in a pity party really quick. And I can drift away from the future work, the work that I need to be doing for the sake of the future today, and I can drift into fake work. So I want to encourage you that even when you do the right thing, you may not see the results right away. And that's okay, because what you are working on does matter. It matters to your future, but it matters to a whole bunch of other people that you're going to meet in your future. And so when we're working, we're trying to do the right thing, but it always feels off. We're doing the right thing at the seemingly wrong time. We're doing the right thing, in the wrong way. And we're saying, what gives? I'm preparing for the right reasons, but it doesn't feel like the right time. And it doesn't feel like I'm getting results out of any of this either. I mean, welcome to the farm. Welcome to a farmer's lifestyle. Always planting for the future. Always thinking about what's to come. And doing work today, realizing that it's not going to pay off in the immediate, but it will pay off if you stick with it. And so we have to learn how to leverage the paradox of preparation and to carry ourselves through all that frustration. See, here's the paradox of preparation. Number one, things will take longer than you plan, which is part of it. Things take longer than you plan. You plan to do something in 5 minutes, it's probably going to take 10 minutes. Now, that's no big deal unless that becomes a ratio. Now, you plan to do something in 1 day, it took 2 days. You plan to get ready for something in 1 week, now it takes 1 month. There is an exponential factor involved with preparation. Things will take longer than you plan. That's because every day is heading in the direction of delay and decay. If we do not do anything, if we do not get engaged with the process of putting in great work and being relational and intentional and being productive and creative and actually do good work that redeems the time, then things will just fall off. But when you know this, then you can show up ready. You show up with the right mindset. You show up with the right skill sets. You show up differently. You say, hey, I'm not going to focus on what is frustrating me right now. I realize that I'm actually doing future work, and I'm going to focus on my future so that way when I show up ready. And by the time I get there, all these things that are frustrating me will be irrelevant. So I'm not going to make permanent changes based on temporary feelings, temporary circumstances. We've got to leverage the paradox of preparation. One way is to realize that things just take longer than you plan. The other way is to realize that time moves faster than you think. Have you noticed that minutes kind of move slow, but days and weeks and months move fast? We don't say, oh man, 5 more minutes till work's done. 5 more minutes till class is over. 5 more minutes until food's ready. Oh, it feels so long, right? But then we get to our birthday. We get to a new year. We're like, whoa. That was fast. Where did the year go? Oh, man. Jolly gee willikers. Look where the year went. It's because it's easier to track minutes than it is years. It's easier to see minutes happening than years. And if we don't keep track of what's happening, we're going to lose track of our time, and time is going to fly back past us. Time is going to fly beyond us, and we're not going to know how to make good use of it because we didn't steward that time. And so that's the paradox of preparation. Things take longer than I plan, but time happens faster than I think. And then we get caught in that crossroads. We get caught in that conundrum. We get caught in that conflict. We get caught in that space between things are taking longer than I want. Time is happening faster than I imagined. How am I going to get all this stuff done? How am I going to get these projects done? How am I going to go for all these goals in 1 year? How am I going to work with all these different people that all have different lives and different schedules and different values? How am I going to align us so that way we can pioneer the future frontier together? That's the paradox of preparation, and it really can leave you very frustrated. And so frustration is not a sign of failure. Frustration is not a sign of defeat. Frustration is the context of preparation. Frustration can become fuel for your preparation. And you say, hey, there's more work to be done. Let's up the urgency again. Let's keep going. Let's keep growing. I'm thankful for how far we've come. Let gratitude be the empowerment to keep going. And this requires us to plan things differently, to work differently, to approach our day and our week and our month differently. That's why when we work through the course Pioneer the Year, we have to get new mindsets, new skill sets to pioneer the year so we don't get stuck in that repeat year cycle. And we can actually leverage the paradox of preparation, and it becomes exponential. When you learn how to leverage the paradox of preparation, you're not just going to get minimal results. You're going to get multiplication. You're going to get multiplied results. I mean, it's going to astound you because there really is an operating system of abundance in our created world. There is an operating system of abundance and multiplication and blessing. There is an operating system that can go far beyond our expectations and our abilities. And we've got to learn how to tap into that operating system so that way as we leverage the power of preparation, we're accomplishing far, far more than we would with procrastination and frustration. So this could actually be a game-changing day for you. This could be an opportunity where your outlook changes and you say, I realize what I've been doing. Of course, I haven't been flowing in the same direction as this mighty river called time. And instead of pushing against it, now I'm going to leverage it. And I'm going to learn how to work differently. And it's going to make a big difference in my life, in my family, on my team, and in all the things I get to be a part of from here on out. So I want to give you 2 tactics that will help you turn frustration into preparation. The reason we get frustrated is because things take longer than we plan, and time is happening faster than we think. But if you approach it with a different mindset, you're going to realize, hey, I can actually get ahead. And then I can get more done. And then I can embrace every day as a gift. So what are these 2 tactics? I want to go back to time budgeting and time tracking. See, time budgeting helps us invest enough time to prepare. Remember that first part of the paradox? It's so frustrating when things take longer than we plan. That's why we have to do good time budgeting. I mean, we understand it's good to budget our money So why don't we budget our time? Isn't our time more valuable than our money? Right? You know the phrase, time is money. So how do we invest our time wisely? You have to see where it's going and know where you want it to go next. You've got to be a part of this process. You can't just let this happen. You have to get engaged, be a part, have some heart, and have an opinion about where you want your time to go. So many people are getting, bogged down by all of the to-dos instead of realizing and scheduling their values. That's why I don't try to reinvent the wheel every week. In my weekly planning session on Future Friday, I'm not going to get all flustered, all worked up because there's all this stuff happening and I got to do this. I've budgeted time for my values. I've budgeted time for the things that matter. I'm budgeting time for the things that are important, the things that are possible. Time budgeting is a tactic that helps us turn frustration into preparation. And then time tracking. It's part of that second part of that paradox. Because it's crazy. Time is happening faster than we think. I mean, tracking minutes, feels like it's going very slowly. But when you think about years, and things are happening very quickly. So we've got to learn how to increase the carrying capacity of our calendar. So we're not getting, distracted trying to steer minutes and hours, but we're staying focused on the future, and we're actually pioneering a meaningful life's work year by year by year. Instead of getting disoriented, we do this for a little bit, and then we do that for a little bit, and then we go here, and then we quit, and we try that and this and that. But there's not really an overarching story or narrative that we're navigating with. So time tracking is a tactic that we can use to help us keep account for the way our time is going. Sure, we can budget time and say, hey, I'm going to make sure that there is plenty of time on this day for that role or that goal. But I still need to make sure I know where my time is going. You can learn so much from time tracking. Now, I don't do it, in an obsessive way, because then you're not really living. If all you're doing is just tracking your time, like I said, tracking the minutes, that's fine. You get worked up that way. But instead, what I'm referring to is learning as you go and being aware, growing in that self-awareness, so that way you're making better plans next week or next quarter and next year. Because you can be budgeting as best you can and still get it wrong. And it's not the end of the world. It's just saying you need some data. You need to learn. And so they go hand in hand. If all you're doing is saying, I'm tracking my steps and I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, well, go a different direction. Make a new plan. So this is kind of the offensive and the defensive tactics that we can use to turn frustration into preparation. I know this sounds really simple, but how many of us are doing this effectively? That's why I'm bringing the best encouragement, the best content, the best coaching I can. I don't, reserve this for a few people. This is stuff I talk about all the time. This is stuff I think about all the time. This is the stuff that I'm bringing to my friends, to the leadership community that I'm a part of, to the future friends, to other pioneering leaders. Man, whenever I get the privilege of being in a one-on-one coaching session with someone, I go here. And I go in a lot of other places too, but this is a foundational part of turning frustration into preparation. Because when you see this, you actually see how all of this fits together. It changes the way you approach tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And now you're building this momentum. And instead of all of this inertia working against you, now you have all of this power working for you. And it becomes really exciting. Now, when we cannot operate a calendar effectively, competently, what happens is we forfeit what can happen on that calendar to everyone else. We give the control of our calendar away to other people, and we basically let them make assumptions about us. But don't you think you are the best person to decide what you need to do today? Don't you think that you have a say? Even if you're on a team, even if you have school and classes and work and responsibilities and appointment, don't you think that you can see what is going to be fixed on the calendar and what is fluid on the calendar, and then you can strategize how to make it all work together, how to make it cooperate in a day-to-day way with your big picture? See, there's a lot of stuff that we just let happen in a day-to-day setting because we know how it's fitting in and how we're going to steer it in the big picture planning. A lot of people look at the calendar the wrong way. It's because they think the calendar is a reminder system of everyone else's announcements and emergencies. But the calendar is really a decision-making tool. And the calendar forces you to make decisions about where you're going to be and what you're going to do in real time. So if you're not comfortable with committing, and if you're not comfortable with being around other people and, doing life and leading in community, then you're not going to like the calendar. Because that's what the calendar does. The calendar brings commitment and community together. That's what the calendar does. It is a map that you have to visualize and organize your life in real time. That's why you have to take ownership of your calendar. You have to take ownership of your leadership journey and make sure that you're doing it in the context of a leadership community. And these two principles apply to where we are every single day with self-leadership. I'm not just talking about leadership for a stage or leadership in front of, a big organization or leadership. I'm talking about leading yourself. I'm talking about staying encouraged and how to navigate through frustration so you can create the future that other people are waiting on. So here's how we can turn the frustration into preparation. Number one, I want you to realize that long days and your long game go together. I want you to realize that long days and long games actually go together. You can't say, I'm playing a long game and I'm going to, crush it and I'm just going to automate everything and delegate to everyone else. And that's why I shouldn't have a long day. No. The reason you're having a long day is because you are willing to invest in your long game. And some people say, I have this long day, so something's going wrong. No, you're having a long day because something is going right. because you're going in the right direction, because you realize that there is something that is worth working on and worth waiting for. And so you're okay with things not being perfect. You're okay with things getting, shuffled in the mix. You're okay with that because you are okay with long days on your way to your long game. Number one, realize that long days and long games go together. Number two is reassure yourself that this frustration is proof you're not fragile. Woo! Man, that is good. Reassure yourself that the frustration you're in right now is just proof you're not fragile. Hey, this isn't going to break you. This is going to be a breakthrough that you are going to leverage as you continue. This is going to be a story that helps you keep going. I can't tell you how many times the things that were frustrating to me actually were a part of helping me grow my character, work on my skill set, course correct where I needed to go. You're going to have to learn how to work on the things you say to yourself. And you can't just make it up either. I'm glad that everybody's learning how to be positive. They're giving their affirmations. But your affirmations have to be anchored in reality. Your affirmations have to be anchored in something real. Your affirmations have to be working on you, not just working for you. And that's why we actually identify with the truth, not just a truth, not just our truth, not just something that sounds true-ish, but we actually have to seek the truth so that way it is transforming us. Truth is always transformational. Reassure yourself that this frustration you're in is proof that you're not fragile. Hey, I'd rather be frustrated than fragile. I'm serious. I don't want to live in a perfect world that is completely covered in bubble wrap. I don't think that's a cool way to live. I just don't want to live that way. I mean, maybe you never get, ant bites. Maybe everything works for you. Maybe you always get green lights. Maybe everything's cool for you. I don't want to be entitled and weak. I don't want to be so coddled, so helped that I'm actually helpless. I don't want to be carried my whole life and then lose the strength in my own two legs to go a different direction in life. I want to reassure myself again and again that the work that's happening in me, on me, through me is actually producing something that is worthwhile. I'd rather be frustrated than fragile anyways. Number 3, reframe those events into a better story. Reframe those events from a better story. I'm reading this book, like I mentioned. It's called Win the Day by Mark Batterson. It is amazing. I want to recommend it to you highly. He goes into this book talking about the story we tell ourselves. And that's why I think you can't just write your own story. You have to find a bigger story, find a better story that pulls you into it. And so he talks about this basically a football player now, and he wasn't doing good as a kid on the football team, and his dad told him a story that changed his perspective and helped him become the amazing football player he is today. And he said, hey, a ranch dog is always a runt, and the rancher always looks for the runt in the litter because the runt in the litter has to work harder than all the other puppies. And so the rancher actually bets on the runt of the litter to make his livelihood as a rancher happen. And he basically said, hey, you're going to work harder and you got this and whatever. It was encouraging and super motivational. But look, one story. That's why I think, your mission needs a metaphor. And again, I'm in the faith space. Many times I'm working with people, I'm coaching people. And so people name their business, they name their nonprofit, they name their album, they name their story, they name their faith community. And there's kind of a word picture associated with it. And we just have this beautiful imprint of genius and creativity and meaning and value in us and on us that connects with that, right? That connects with that kind of storytelling. And you've got to learn how to reframe these events. And I'll give you one example. So maybe you're in this super frustrating situation and the events are interpreted as you feeling trapped. You're feeling trapped, right? And everything that's happening is now reinforcing that story. I'm trapped. See, that's proof I'm trapped. See, that happened. Therefore, I'm trapped. See, I didn't like that. Therefore, I couldn't change that. Therefore, I am trapped. But instead, you need to go back to the truth because truth is transformational. And that's when you begin to realize, hey, I'm free today. I'm free. I'm more free than a lot of these jokers around here. And I can make a choice anytime I want. I can make a change anytime I need to. See, we give away our empowerment. That's a part of self-leadership. Self-leadership is the willingness and the responsibility to leverage and steward your sense of empowerment, your sense of freedom. Now, I'm kind of getting into a whole nother conversation here, so let me just stay on how to turn frustration into preparation. But reframe the events that you're going through into a better future-focused story. Turn all of these events into a hopeful story. Find the hope in your story. I'm telling you, you are not so far removed that there is no hope in your story. I don't care how bad your story feels right now. I don't care how dark your situation seems right now. I don't care what kind of heartbreak. I don't care what kind of trauma. I don't care what kind of burdens and baggage you've been, drowned in. I'm telling you, there's always hope. And if you'll just like look for it and ask for it and reach out for it, I'm telling you, you will find the hope you need to keep going. And all of those first three things are just you working on you, working through you, helping, taking that next step. And it's all about building up to number 4. The first 3 things you have to do, you have to realize, hey, this is part of it. You have to reassure yourself, hey, good news, I'm not fragile. You have to reframe what's happening in the moment so that way you don't get paralyzed, but you stay in action mode. And then all of those 3 steps now go to bear on step number 4, which is reach. It's time to reach. It's time to reach out again. It's time to reach in again. You're going to have to reach out to get some help. You're going to have to reach out to a friend. You're going to have to reach out to a coach. You're going to have to reach out to someone like me and say, hey, I want to grow in my self-leadership. I don't want to struggle when I believe there's a strategy to get through this. And you're going to have to reach out, but you're also going to have to reach in. You're going to have to reach in to find the next action step. You're going to have to reach in to get back to that schedule. You're going to have to reach in to make a plan. You're going to have to reach in to do the work. And you say, Peter, I don't know which is which. I don't know whether to reach out or to reach in. And the answer is both. You're going to have to reach in and out at the same time all the time. Because it's like walking right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. You walk with both feet. So you're going to have to reach in, reach out, reach in, reach out, reach in, reach out. And I didn't mention probably the biggest one, right? Reach up. Reach up. Say, God, help me. I'm frustrated right now. He will show up. So that's why I say we get frustrated when we don't see that we need both a leadership journey of our own as well as a leadership community to be a part of. And so we're reaching out to others in community. We're reaching in so we make progress on the journey. And I wanted to encourage someone with this. I hadn't really thought of it this way, but I wanted to kind of pitch it to you, see what you think. Some of you need to prune your year. Prune your year. It's kind of it's like a agriculture metaphor where basically, you go into the garden or you go to the orchard and you've got to cut off things that look like they have life and look like they have growth and looks like something's going on there. And you're going to have to cut it off because you have hope for multiplication and for abundance and for joy in your future. And so prune your year to multiply your life for decades to come. I'll give you one example, and I'm trying to be frank. I'm trying to be helpful and direct with you. But I was talking with my mentor, and he's amazing. And my mentor basically said, hey, for a season of my life, when I was, helping, I'm using his words, I'm paraphrasing what he said. He said, for a season of my life, I didn't have a lot of time to be social. I didn't have a social life because I was spending time with my wife and my kids. And I loved it. He said, I didn't feel like I was missing out. I didn't feel like I was losing. He said, I knew the priority of that season. While the kids were little, I had to be there. I had to be present. Dad had to be available. Dad had to be in proximity to model and mentor in the home. He said, I didn't have a social life for years. And if I was just thinking about that, I was like, wow, this is crazy. That's just one example. And it was an example and a case study that worked in his context. And I think there's a principle in there. But the point is, you may have to prune back and you may say, hey, I'm just not going to be good at golf for a while. I'm just not going to have too many hobbies right now. I want to be well-rounded. I want to be making progress north, south, east, west. I want to do it all, but I realize where my sphere of influence is, and that's where I need to focus. So I'm okay for a season to prune my calendar, to pull back on my scheduling so that way I can be focused on the right things, even though I'm doing things that everybody else says is wrong thing, wrong time. But I'm leveraging the power. I'm leveraging the paradox of preparation. I'm thinking ahead. I'm making choices with the future in mind. And I'm okay with going through some frustration because I know I'm not going to stay here. So prune your calendar, prune your year to multiply your life for decades to come. It's okay to do less. It's okay to be boring. It's okay to stay steady. Stay steady and get ready because you have no idea. You have no idea the places you can go. All right, so I'm out of time. I wanted to encourage you, take action today. Take action today, guys. Realize that anxiety and anger are trying to keep you from taking the right action steps. Anxiety keeps you away from the actions you need to take. Anger is pushing you beyond the actions you need to take to do something more drastic, more extreme. But what can you do today? What action step do you need to take today? That's what this comes down to. That's what Future Friday is all about. It's about getting away so you can get that clarity. You can get that big picture view again. You say, okay, it really isn't that difficult. I see how it all lays out again. Here's the next direction I need to go in. Here's the next decision I need to make. Here's the next action step I need to take. And then what it really comes down to is, who's the next person you need to talk to? For real. And there's three basic, I'm going to hit this real fast and then hop off, but there's basically three steps or three kinds of actions you're going to take. Either you need concentration, either you need a conversation, or you need some collaboration. Conversation is you got to what you need to do. You just got to go do it. And that's what you got to focus on. Conversation is it's time to involve a friend. It's time to reach out to a mentor. It's time to get some professional counseling. It's time to reach out to a faith leader in your life. It's time to, talk to your parents. Your parents love you. Hey, if you're still in the house, if you still live under their roof, they love you. They're not trying to, wreck your life. I'm sure they love you. And you say, well, if they don't love you, then there's someone who does love you. Go find that person and look at the fruit of their life to make sure that they're actually sending you towards a better future and not a bitter one. And then collaboration is, hey, you got something on your heart, you've got something in your sights, but it's going to take some hands. And so it's time to reach out to the team. It's time to organize. It's time to mobilize. We got to get a community around this. That's why I'm showing up here, because I believe there are other future-focused people out there. I believe there are other folks that have been on a pioneering leadership journey. I believe other people have been embracing the call for preparation, a lifestyle of preparation. And so kind of throwing this out there again and showing up to hopefully encourage you. All right, I am done with this conversation. I really appreciate your time. And this has been great. I do want to roll out talking about the course Pioneer of the Year. And to do that, my wife and I, Sarah Joy, created a quiz to help you figure out your own pioneering leadership archetype. You really can pioneer the year, and you don't have to do it alone. And so I want to help you work on your pioneering archetype. Figure out how you're going to approach work and the future and team building and all of the self-leadership logistics that will make this upcoming year unlike any other. Maybe you're an explorer. Maybe you've got that creative edge. Maybe you're a pathfinder. You've got that strategic edge. Maybe you're a homesteader and you have a relational edge. Maybe you're a trailblazer and you have a motivational edge. Whatever it is, you really can pioneer this year. I'm going to play you a short conversation and be right back. But this was a conversation I had with my friend Chris Needham, who is an amazing thought leader and family man, and one of my best friends. He talks about what it looks like to pioneer the year. Let's check it out. What would you say to someone who says, I don't even use the word pioneer like in a week, let alone a year, so I don't know if I fit into this conversation yet. can I really pioneer the year? What would you say to someone like that?
Absolutely. Of course. Hey, I got distracted here. I'm not the host, but I'll play the host role. Brandy, I saw that you're asking where the quiz is. This morning when I found it, I just went to Peter's Instagram and I just found it in the link tree there. So is that a good way to get it, Peter?
Yes, and there's a link at the kind of show notes of this YouTube page. So it should be in the description.
Even better. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. But yeah, I would say, nobody needs to discredit themselves and the value of proper planning and being intentional with your life. I know a lot of people, you just go with the flow and that's fine. That's okay. But I think somebody who's watching this is most likely driven and you feel a calling or a sense of purpose and, or otherwise, maybe in a negative sense, you feel like maybe you're not able to attain to your potential. You're frustrated with procrastination, things like that. And yeah, absolutely. I think just like anything else, it's like the goal's not like perfection overnight, but just to take practical action steps and just continue getting better every day. One of the great pioneers, David Livingston, childhood hero, but pioneer in every sense of the word, biography, famous guy, an explorer and charter of Africa, missionary. But one of his quotes was like, anywhere provided it's forward. It's like, it's okay, it's not like you got to get there today, but just you have to keep moving forward, anywhere but staying still, anything but going backwards. Just keep moving forward. And that's what I'd say if someone is maybe frustrated or lacking a belief in make this year the year they've always wanted it to be.
Absolutely. And the opposite of pioneering the year, which is that go for it attitude, is fear. Either you are going to pioneer the future or you're going to fear the future. That quiz is going to encourage you, and it's going to take you into an invitation to join the course, Pioneer the Year. We're going to talk about that later, but I want to get into this conversation of pioneering leadership because Right, so that conversation with Chris Needham was Prepare to Go There, episode 109. So check that out. Really, really good. I want you to take action now. Take the quiz. Find out what is your pioneering archetype. It's going to encourage you, remind you you really can pioneer this year. And you just have to own your own approach to pioneering life planning and leadership. And that goes into really the why, the conversation, and the flagship course that I've created to help you with your life planning and leadership. It's called Pioneer the Year. This is a digital course that I created for future-focused people who want to turn repeat years into new frontiers. This is where you stop going from random day to repeat years. You're not just kind of going with the flow and being reactive and just kind of doing what feels urgent. You're actually taking intentional steps. You've got the right insights, the right strategies to be a pioneering leader. This matters for you personally, but it really matters for the people you care about. It matters to your family, your friends, your team. It matters to the people you are trying to encourage, to set an example for. People are looking for leaders. And there's a lot of leaders out there, but not every leader is taking people into a better future. That's why we have to learn how to lead ourselves there first, and then we can become proof of concept. So check that out. You can go to pioneertheyear.com. You can also get the quiz in a few places. You can get the quiz in the link in the show notes. You can get the quiz at pioneertheyear.com or just on my Instagram. You go to my link bio there. All right. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you all so much for being a part of this conversation with me. I don't know if you noticed, but I am repping some new Pioneer gear. My wife surprised me as usual, and I love it. Got a Pioneer or Prepare to Go There hat and a matching hoodie. Feels amazing. I'm ready for my future Friday, and I hope you are too. Stay encouraged. Know that what you're feeling, what you're facing, it doesn't have to be permanent, okay? There's always hope, and if it's hopeful, you can be a part of the process, all right? I appreciate you. Remember, you're going places, but you got to prepare to go there. See you next week.